LA Mayor Karen Bass, City Council President Paul Krekorian, and a delegation of LA City Council members in Washington, D.C. this week.
They're meeting with the likes of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and other members of the Biden administration and members of Congress to talk homelessness, public safety, the border, federal funding, and more. Mayor Bass and Council President Krekorian join us now from Washington with more. Good to see both of you. Mayor Bass, let's start with you. What is the most important thing that you've gotten out of this trip so far?
Well, you know, the opportunity to meet with cabinet secretaries and make very specific requests. So, for example, yesterday we met with Secretary Mayorkas. He's the Secretary of Homeland Security. And so we are concerned about the migrant buses, and there is money that Los Angeles should be eligible for. Los Angeles didn't apply in years past, so I wanted to make that very specific request to allow us to apply for that money. But the other thing is that we were making a request to be reimbursed for money that FEMA owes us. The last time I made that request, we got $150 million approved. I came back for the last $150 million. Today we met with the VA secretary and the HUD secretary, and we were able to talk additional waivers that are needed. And you know, I appealed for months, but finally was able to get waivers, but now we need some additional ones. So we talked with both the VA secretary and the HUD secretary about that.
And just to follow up, did Secretary Mayorkas, what did he say in terms of your request for money when it comes to migrant buses, and how much money are we talking about?
Well, we don't know exactly how much it would be, but yes, he said that he would look into the eligibility and see how LA could apply. Because as we described, you know, the problem is nowhere near Chicago or New York, but we do have a problem in Los Angeles. We've had over 800 migrants come to our city, you know, over the last couple of months, and I'm worried that that number is really going to get a lot larger.
Yeah, so far more than 20 buses have arrived from Texas to Los Angeles, something that Council President Paul Krekorian, you know a lot about. The mayor, of course, has spent a lot of time in Washington as a former congresswoman. So let me ask you, Council President Krekorian, what has been the most significant thing to come of this trip thus far for you?
Well, it's clearly a historic opportunity for the city of Los Angeles because it is a Karen Bass love fest in Washington. Every place that we've gone, the respect that she has earned over her career here is palpable. And so it's a real opportunity for the second largest city in America to finally have the voice that we deserve in Washington in dealing with the administration, dealing with all the agencies, dealing with Congress, because of Mayor Bass's leadership and the relationships that she's built. So when you look at this trip and the meetings that we've had with cabinet secretaries, where we're able to talk substantively about hundreds of millions of dollars of federal investment, both past and future, and how we can best partner with the federal government to ensure the best services for the people of Los Angeles. That's an enormous opportunity. And I feel in every one of our meetings, there's been substantive results in building that stronger relationship between the city and the federal government, whether it's about public safety, homelessness, veteran services, reducing gun violence, in so many other areas that matter to the people of Los Angeles. We now have a tremendously strong relationship because of this trip, because of our mayor's reputation here as well.
And one thing to note is that we have been focusing on the administration. We're not here trying to get legislation passed. You know, we definitely mentioned that and talked to Senator Padilla around that, but where you get results is at the administration level.
Well, you know, you've been fighting to help the homeless crisis, of course, with your Inside Safe program, Mayor Bass. What specifically have you gleaned about the homeless crisis in terms of getting money from the federal government, and where is that money going to be used here?
Well, let me just say that the HUD secretary has already sent a couple $100 million to Los Angeles. But what we found out today is that we actually have money that we need to obligate on a faster track, or we risk the Republicans cutting the money and literally coming to LA and taking back money that had been allocated. So we want to make sure that that does not happen. The other thing that we learned today is that there are a lot of cities that have not used vouchers. And so I appealed basically, if other cities weren't using the vouchers, could we please have them, because we could use them in LA. So, you know, for requests like that, I don't expect for them to immediately say yes, but we'll come back and stay in touch. That's the way I've gotten the waivers from earlier this year. It took me, you know, a number of conversations. It took a couple of months, but they came through.
And Mayor Bass,
you know, homelessness is an issue that affects so many different federal policies. And we've discussed the homelessness issue in Los Angeles with the Department of Homeland Security, with, of course, Housing and Urban Development, with the Veteran Affairs Department, and others, because there are so many things that the federal government can do to help our unhoused veterans, to help interdict opioids and fentanyl that are coming into Los Angeles and destroying lives. And then, of course, to provide affordable housing to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. So all of these have been topics of discussion that we've had just in the last 48 hours.
Mayor Bass,
and you know, we've been able to clear.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say, I got to get you real quickly as we're running out of time. As a former member of Congress, I know you were there for the vote today when Jim Jordan lost on the first ballot. I know you were close friends with Speaker McCarthy when both of you worked in Sacramento together. Obviously, you have very different policy ideas, but have a personal bond together. I'm wondering what you thought of what happened to him, and could the Democrats who helped to make that happen end up losing out with a different speaker?
Well, let me just tell you that I fear for the country if Jim Jordan becomes the speaker. Jim Jordan is a hardened ideologue, and I think that he really would be terrible for the country. I served with him for many years on judiciary, and so you know, it was a pure coincidence that we happened to be here on the same day as this historic vote. He didn't get the votes. They were supposed to vote later tonight. They canceled it, which means he still doesn't have the votes. So I just keep my fingers crossed that Jim Jordan will not be the next Speaker of the House.
Your thoughts on McCarthy, though?
My thoughts on McCarthy, I'm sorry. I believe what happened to him was really unfortunate, but you cannot put that on the Democrats. The Republicans have the majority. So the fact that his caucus allowed a handful of people to do that, I think was a travesty. I also think that it was terrible that they had that rule that just one person could, it's the tyranny of the minority, the super minority, one person could call for the vacate the chair. That was unfortunate that that was agreed to begin with.
Well, Mayor Karen Bass, we thank you for your time. Council President Paul Krekorian, you as well. We know that you have at least another 24 hours in D.C., so we wish you well. Bring lots of money home for Los Angeles and safe travels home. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.